Hey guys, so I saw this video on Facebook where a woman was asking her husband questions. It was questions that girls are afraid to ask their man. As I was watching it, I figured that my husband would say totally different answers. So I wanted to do this questionnaire with him. So we'll just get right into it. The first question was, what do men think about stretch marks?
Mm, I don't think they think anything. I think most men don't care. It's a body. Somebody comes with everybody's body. Men have them, women have them. So I don't think most men care. I think most men just care about your weight, um, depending on the stretch marks, because some stretch marks are actually natural. But then there are stretch marks that come when you become overweight. And I think that's the stretch marks that most men tend to think about when you say stretch marks.
So before we get too far into this, her husband on the video kept saying, "Are you relating to a boy or a man?" All my questions is coming from a man's point of view. So I want to know, what would you call a man versus a boy?
Um, I don't know. I think a boy, in my perspective, is someone who is learning to be a man. I think a man has learned certain traits, certain actions, dialogue, the way he carries himself, the way he comprehends, the way he walks about life, the way he respects people. Men are more giving, whereas boys, um, they take a lot. That they don't really give a lot to the world because they can't yet. They're not in a position to at this point in time. I feel like men are building their lives and incorporating that to those around them, whereas boys are still figuring out their lives, and so they take from those to figure those things out, kind of like a child.
Okay. So we'll move into the second question since we got that verified. If you like a guy, is it okay to go after him, or would that scare him off?
It just depends on the guy. Most guys would love if a woman just went after them. Um, it wouldn't be anything that turned them away. I think the approach, is just like men approaching women. Any approach that is off-putting is off-putting to anybody. So if you're a woman that sees a man that's attractive, you wouldn't want to necessarily go up to him and be like, "I think you're the finest thing on the planet," and he's probably gonna be like, "I appreciate it, but man, that was really strong." Same for a woman. If he walks up to you and be like, "Hey, I think you're the most beautiful woman on the planet," I mean, you'd have your reserves about that. Does he say that to every woman? Does he do that all the time? Like it just makes you feel a certain type of way. So I just think it's the approach. I don't think it's anything that'll be off-putting to a dude or a man.
So men feel like it's okay for women to chase them, in a sense.
Chase, I wouldn't say chase, because eventually a man would want to lead you, and if you're the one doing all the leading, that may be a turnoff to certain men. For certain men, maybe not. I think certain men would appreciate a woman that's strong in that area, but it just depends on the guy. For me personally, I would not want to be quote unquote chased. Um, I would more so want to do the chasing and planning out dates and doing things like that. I wouldn't necessarily want to be the one that's being chased, and I would kind of want to be in the driver's seat in that area. But I mean, I'm just one man compared to millions. So my opinion on the matter would be up to the dude.
Okay. Coming from a man's point of view, how do men feel about women passing gas?
I don't know if they do. Men don't care.
So you don't care if it's early on in a relationship or later on in a relationship, they just don't care.
Nah, because it doesn't do anything for the relationship. It doesn't build it, break it. It doesn't add anything to it. It doesn't take anything away. It's something that's natural. It's something that happens. I mean, women poop, women pee, women may vomit. So all these things that's natural. Men tend to not care about. Now, if you have a guy that, you know, if you think about flagellants or pooping, peeing, or, you know, farting in front of your partner, you kind of want to be a little cautious about it. If you're out in public, you know, I don't think anyone wants someone who's just going to be doing it out in public. But if you're in the comfort of your home, or even if you're like, hey, can you let down the window? I really can't hold it anymore. I mean, he'd laugh at you, which is what I would do. I would just laugh and make jokes about it. But as far as it making or breaking a relationship, I mean, if it does, it's probably really shallow, because it's something that's natural.
So, act like a lady. Our next question: what do guys think about women who wear makeup?
Uh, I've never been around men who have cared. Um, Contrary to popular belief, many men will always say, I want a woman without makeup, but most men would redact that statement if they saw a woman past them with makeup. That's very beautiful. Um, because it's what we see at that first point. Um, and so I think a natural woman versus a woman with makeup, I don't, if they're both beautiful in that moment, I think a guy would go for both. I don't think many men would turn down a beautiful woman with or without makeup, because the makeup can enhance women to a certain point, but after a certain point, it doesn't enhance as much. If you're naturally beautiful, you're naturally beautiful. And if you're not as attractive, makeup can only make you as attractive as you are. In some cases, and so there are makeup tutorials where women they are totally different. But in those cases, you know, you can easily find out as a guy. I mean, we kind of have our ways. I won't give away any secrets, but we kind of have our ways of seeing if a woman is as beautiful as she is, especially if we're not intoxicated or at a club. If we can clearly see you and you are heavily makeup, we know. But if you have like on eyeshadow, eyeliner, that's just kind of like, you know, stuff that we see day to day, we kind of can get a sense of what you look like. But if you're just dolled up to the point to where we can't even tell, we know you have on a ton of makeup, we kind of know you're not as attractive. So I would tell women to be careful of that. Don't think that men only look at you for, you know, how beautiful you are. We don't. But I mean, that is a big part. You know, we do see how you look. Like that is the number one thing that attracts us to you, is how you look. So just present yourself with your clothes and the way you look and the way you dress, versus trying to hide what's there, because he's gonna find out after a while anyway. And on top of that, in 20 years, if he marry you, it won't even matter, because I mean, looks fade. Your personality and who you are and what you are, that doesn't fade. So just be yourself.
Okay, good answer so far. Next one is: how long does it take for guys to know that the woman is the one for them?
I am probably not the person to answer this, because I mean, it took me a long time both times. I got married. This is my second marriage, so it took me a long time both times. So it just depends on the dude. I mean, I've heard people like Steve Harvey and other famous people who have written books to women that say 6 months. And I've heard men get behind this idea of 6 months. And in honesty, if you think about a job, it takes you 6 months to be good at your job, but it takes you around 2 to 3 years to be almost an expert in your field, and it takes you around 5 to 7 to be the best, meaning that you're in the top 1% of your field. So if you look at it from that perspective, in 6 months, you really don't know what you're gonna be dating or marrying unless you spend every single day with that person. Even then, you're still missing out on an overwhelming amount of time, which is their past. Because you're not marrying their present or their future, you're marrying their past. And if you think about a person in that instance, if it took them, for example, 30 years to become who they are, we have 30 years of learning to do and you can't do that in 6 months. So I would say it just depends on the relationship, how fast it's moving, how much time you spend together. Um, like I said, it took me a long time. It took me 5 years, and both times I've gotten married. So um, it just depends. I would never say hop in 6 months. I think that is a dangerous game you're playing if you say 6 months. I would more so lean on the 2 year. 2 years after that, I think you should know in 2 years that, hey, this is someone I would like to spend the rest of my life with. I think that's enough time, especially because in that time you're spending time together, you're dating, you're spending an overwhelming amount of time within 2 years together to kind of know each other, meet the family, and then after that you can kind of get a good sense of who a person is to just jump in and marry someone. But I think if you take the advice of 6 months, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
So I think this next question goes along with kind of what you just said, but I'll ask it anyways. Why does it take men longer to want to marry a woman?
Um, if you think about life in perspectives, a woman's perspective is based off of, if she wants kids. If she doesn't, then she doesn't care how long it takes to get married. If she does, she definitely cares. Because, at 35, doctors heavily go against having children for women. It's almost like a death sentence. Granted, medicine has come a very, very, very long way. So women are having kids after 35, but it's not that many compared to the millions of women who do die, or have miscarriages or don't make it through the pregnancy process after 35 or even close to 35. So it's still a miracle. Birth is a miracle no matter what. But when you think about a man, he doesn't have the fertility aspect because he gives his seed. He doesn't receive a seed to carry. So his is going to be more so thinking about providing for a family, protecting a family. And if he's poor or if he comes from a background where he doesn't have much money, he's not that smart. All these things are factors for men because we have to think about, all right, if I do get married, can I give my wife what she needs? Can I give my kids what she needs? And can I still live a life that I want? And if I'm not making the money to do that, well, why would I get married? On top of that, what type of woman do I want? Do I want my wife to be obscenely beautiful? Usually those women come with a price tag. And so most men think about that. Do I want a woman that's bigger, smaller? What do I want? And for some men, it takes them a long time to figure that out, meaning they go through women. And now I would say that to men that we should do better in that aspect of not sleeping with a lot of women and actually giving ourselves a chance to build something with a woman. I think once we start creating those soul ties of sex, we deteriorate what could be in a woman because then we start looking at her differently. So I would just say what holds a man back is the fact that he wants something that he may not be able to get. So I always say this, a woman can get a man off how beautiful she is. A man can only get a woman based off his pockets. And that's just the God's honest truth. If he can't get a supermodel, well, it's because he doesn't have the money to get a supermodel. A supermodel can have any man. She's beautiful. So same for a man. If he has $1 billion, he can get any woman. That's just life. So that's what holds men back is finance, in all honesty.
So this next question we've talked about privately before, but let's talk about it out loud. Why do men cheat?
Like I said, I have a multitude of things about that. Men tend not to get what they put out. So normally, if we're talking about married men, once they make a commitment, and then this goes back to what I said, I think men should stop buying into ideas. We should let women tell us when it's time for us to get married. If you're not ready, don't get married. And here's the biggest reason why. If you get with a woman and you have a high expectation and that expectation is not being met, you're going to cheat or she's going to cheat. It's one or the other. Based on, other factors like, for example, 7 out of 10 women leave marriages. That's a new data. That's not old data. That's not data from the 90s. That's new data. So if more women are leaving, that means that men are making bad choices. And so men have to stop marrying bad choices. They have to make good choices. And those good choices start with yourself first. Um, you should be able to put out what you want. And if you want a very beautiful woman, make yourself a very beautiful man, meaning hit the gym, go to the gym, get fit, get yourself to a point to where you can get a beautiful woman, get your pockets right. Think about what you want as a man. And for women, think about what you are. If you want a man that can provide a lifestyle for you, are you a woman that deserves that? Um, can you be a stay-at-home wife? Can you do what a man is asking you to do? And so I think that all leads to cheating on both parts, is because we're not analyzing ourselves first to make sure that we are who we are when we are getting married. Because you have to grow old together, but that don't mean you come broken. You have to come fixed and complete, but that takes you working on yourself before you give yourself to somebody else to work on yourself for you. That doesn't work. You'll always get cheated on. It don't matter if you're dating. A person will cheat on a broken person because they don't want to be broken themselves. So that would be my overarching theme on that, is that be yourself first, but fix yourself too. So
Okay. So my next question is, how do men tell that a woman is wife material by their appearance?
They don't. Men want sex, and that's why men flirt. That's why we do everything we do. We want sex. And it's not rocket science. At the end of the day, what makes a woman a wife has nothing to do with the way she dresses. It's her mentality. For women, like I said before, are you willing to do what a man's asking? Meaning, are you willing to be respectful of the direction he wants to go? Are you willing to say, this is not what I truly want to do, but I've told him this and he still says I want to go this direction because it's going to benefit the family. Not benefiting you, it's not benefiting him, it's benefiting the family. And so once again, that all comes out after we talk. But what attracts me to you is going to be the way you dress. That has nothing to do with, because at the end of the day, I would only see the sexual aspects first and foremost. And then after that, like if you wear a suit and a man still approaches you and talks to you, well, guess what? He might look at you and say, well, she might be an ambitious woman. But that suit doesn't mean you're an ambitious woman. You just may have a corporate job. You may be the laziest person on the planet, but that is the mentality that a person will look at you and say. The biggest difference is, though, if you're fit, because fit people have a distance between, unfit people. And when fit people are seen, what's the first thing people think of? Discipline. And so disciplined people are usually fit people, and fit people are usually very disciplined. Why? Because they hit the gym. That doesn't mean that they have every other accolade figured out, but that does mean that they have one, which is fitness. And so I would say, if you're a woman, even if you're a man too, work on your fitness level. Get yourself disciplined, which is something that I've done. Me and my wife really work on losing weight. I've lost around 40 pounds. She's lost around 10 to 20. And so fitness is something that if you can do it consistently and you can lose weight consistently, that's a disciplined area of your life. And you can push that into other areas of your life. And so that's what I would say.
So let me go back. So if you were looking for a wife, and seriously looking for a wife, would you go for a woman that you see is in a crop top and booty shorts? Because it's not all about their appearance.
That would depend. And the reason why I say it would depend is because if I'm out at the beach, that wouldn't be a problem. I would approach her anyway. If I was looking for a wife, I would approach her anyway because the man should wear at the beach. That's proper attire. But if you're saying, hey,
if we just at Walmart,
if I'm at Walmart, I wouldn't approach that because that's on blast for everybody to see. I wouldn't approach that at Walmart. Now, if we're looking at, hey, what I would purposely go after for a wife, I would just say, someone who is modestly dressed at Walmart, whether it be dressed down or dressed up, it's one or the other. But a crop top and booty shorts at Walmart, you probably are putting yourself on blast for a reason. So I wouldn't personally go after that. I know a bunch of men who would because they don't care. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wouldn't do it. So it just depends on the man at that point. It's just what he would want to go after.
Okay. Next question is, how do men feel about contraceptives?
It just depends on in what aspect, because I mean, I'm married, so I don't really think about using anything, because I don't mind having children. But if a man doesn't want kids, he might want to be smart enough to ask those questions up front. Are you on birth control? Are you? Can we use a condom? And really, those things should be non-negotiable until you're married. We should be using condoms. You should be. Because full blast for me. Both of my kids came from my marriages, so I would just say, hey, you don't know what life is going to throw you, but why would you throw yourself a curveball when you're not married? Even if your marriage doesn't work out, hey, you gave it a shot. Your kids came from it. It's easier to identify. But if you're having sex with, for women, 3 or 4 different dudes, and you end up pregnant, well, those dudes are going to leave you. And if the one that does stay is probably going to be the one you don't want. So, do yourself a favor and use contraceptives.
So I've heard many men, or I've heard many males say that I prefer not to wear a condom. It just feels different.
Don't be ignorant.
Is that a thing that men do?
Don't be stupid. Don't be ignorant. Any man that doesn't want to wear a condom, it doesn't matter what he is to you, who he is to you. If you guys are single and you're messing with multiple people, there is a thing called STDs. Use a condom. You protect yourself. Birth control protects kids from being born. It doesn't protect STDs from being spread. And there are too many STDs being spread to not wrap it up, to not use a condom. Like, we got to be smart, and we got to take care of each other when we're entering these agreements in the bedroom. It's unfair for a woman to be on birth control but still catch an STD. It has to go both ways. If she has to be on birth control, you need to wear a condom to protect her from spreading STDs. So let's just be smart. Let's protect each other. Let's not be ignorant around the fact that there are diseases out here. So if you're involved, wrap it up, my man.
My next question is, how do men feel about women having hair down there?
I don't think we care. I think men have gotten used to it being no hair, because women usually shave. They usually are waxed, and I think men, I've never heard a man be like, she has to be waxed. It doesn't, because in the moment we don't think about that. It's just, we're ready to do what we're gonna do. I don't think men care. There are some men who have a preference, but I think that preference was built by women, because there was a point in time where women all had hair down there, because there wasn't a shave, there wasn't, men didn't care then, so I doubt men would care now. Granted, it is cleaner, it's safer. There have been doctors that came out and said, hey, this is a safer practice of sex. So I think we should keep the trend going. I just think men don't care either way. Once we're at the tip top of, you got us where we're going, it's just gonna happen regardless. We're gonna talk about it afterwards, but once we're in there, we don't care.
So this is my last question. How do men feel about being in a relationship with a plus size woman?
Plus size can mean different things to different men, so I'll just go off my scale. Plus size is variant to weight and height. So if you're overweight for your height, you're plus size to me. And so what I mean by that is, if you're 5 foot, let's say my height, I'm 5'8", 5'9", and I am 220. So if you are 5'8", 5'9", and I'm overweight for my height, so that's that. So if you're 5'8", 5'9", and you're bigger than me, then that would be an issue for me. Granted, my wife had a kid, which is why she's at that weight now, but that she wasn't at that weight then. And so we have to I think for men, we got to kind of temper that too, is because kids do come into play, and kids do kind of ruin a woman's body. Let's just call it what it is. And we gotta be careful about making them feel less than because of the child that we gave them and that we wanted anyway. And so it's about being careful of tempering the line. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with a plus size woman. It doesn't take away from them. I don't think men even care about that, in my opinion. I just think men care about obesity. And I think we care about being too big and not taking care of yourself and not looking at yourself and going, yeah, I need to lose weight. Like, we shouldn't have to say that. You know, you should want to make yourself look beautiful. You should want to make yourself, you know, look the part for whatever man you want. And men, you should look the part for whatever woman you want. And that goes both ways. Weight fluctuates. That doesn't mean that you can't lose weight together. Doesn't mean that you can't get in the gym together. Doesn't mean that you can't lose the weight. But I don't think men care. I don't think women necessarily care either.
So should couples be around the same size?
It just depends on the couple. I think, like I said, I think if you're thinking about having kids, if your wife is, you know, super fit, then if she works out the whole pregnancy, she's gonna stay fit. But if she loses that during the pregnancy, well, she's not gonna be as fit. And I think, like I said, as men, we have to be very careful of that, to not make them feel bad for that. Because, like I said, they're having children. We don't birth children, so you know there is an accountability aspect for them to look good for their husbands, but there's also an accountability aspect for husbands to be very accountable in how we make our wives feel, how we make our, you know, significant others feel. If you don't have a wife and have a husband, or a wife and a wife, we got to be very careful of how we make each other feel. And I think that's the biggest thing about, and I think that's the challenge about weight, because weight for a lot of men is, I want you to be fit, and fit comes off as skinny. And we don't mean skinny, we just mean fit. We just mean, hey, hit the gym 3 to 5 times, or for some men, 1 to 3. Just hit the gym, like just work on yourself, like get yourself to a point to where I see you and go, that's mine. We don't want to be, you know, unattracted to you in the bedroom. There's everything for a man is visual. So, you know, if you start to lose it, you know, you don't want to do that. Same for men.
So got a lot of good answers from my husband. That wraps up all my questions. These were questions that women are afraid to ask their man. So I'll let my husband close out for us.
Thanks for listening. I would just say, if you guys want to live a happy life, be healthy. See a therapist, see a psychiatrist, see a life coach. All these things help with a happy, healthy life. All these things help to get you motivated. If you're not working a job that you want to work, think about the job you want to work. What does it entail? What do those people do? What are their work ethics? You know, live the life you want. Be the purpose you want in this world. And if you want the world to change, it starts with you. So really appreciate you guys. Follow the links, and hopefully we can have them in the description. I am a life coach. I am a motivational speaker, and I want to help you guys reach those levels. So my name is Ace. This is my wife. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.